So you say you're having some trouble understanding how to interpret the information from your child's end of grade test. First, let me tell you a little bit about the EOG. These tests are given to students in grade 3 through 8 as part of a statewide assessment program at the end of the school year. These tests measure your child's reading comprehension and mathematics skills. These tests will tell you how your child did compared to those in their school, the system, and in the state of North Carolina. So when looking at the score your child made on the EOG, that number is created from how many questions your child answered correctly. That number of questions answered correctly is called a raw score. Just as an example, if they answered 75 out of 100 questions correctly, their raw score would be 75. Then we take that raw score and we convert it to what is called a scale score. And you can see that with the right up there at the very top, A is the reading scale score and the mathematics scale score on the other side. This score will show you how your student did in reading and math from year to year. This is shown by the table on the child's individual student report, the one broken down into 4 sections. Those 4 sections are achievement levels. You can see that with the B in the reading and mathematics side. And those show how your child compared to grade level expectations. So you can see on the chart that your child got an achievement level of 4 in both the reading and math section of the test, and this is a very good score. Now when looking at the chart, there's a number below the scale score. This represents the percentage of other students that your child scored equally to or above. So we can see that they have a score of 93 in reading. That means they scored above or with 93% of other students who took this test in 2008. The reason we compare these tests to this year is because that is when this test was first administered. So since 2008, we've been using this test to score reading comprehension. This is called our norming year. You can see the norming year for the math section of the test is 2006. That means the math portion of this test was revised and given in 2006. If we look at where your child scored on the scale, we can see this is indicated by a black diamond with a white bar behind it. That is down there around the E, F, G, H, I, the achievement levels. We're looking at F right now for your student. So if we look at that, this is indicated by a black diamond and a white bar behind it. This indicates where your child would score about 2/3 of the time. So what you need to know is that we have a few different versions of the EOG test that's given out. Each of these tests have different questions on them, but have been equalized, meaning that they contain the same kinds of questions. What that diamond and bar symbolizes is where your child may have fallen in the scale if they were given another form of the EOG this year. This is just a guess. We aren't saying that they would have been on the high end of the bar if they were given another test, but they had the potential to. So you can see how students ranged in the school, the system, and state in the norming year. This is signified by the G, H, and I in both the reading and math portions. These are all averaged out, meaning that we've taken all scores in the school, the system, and the state and figured out where the middle, the average is. And this is why they have a larger range of potential scores, the little black line behind them, because it's taking into account all the other students. Below that chart is a description of how your child did on the test and how they're developing for the next year. So you can see students who score a 4 on the EOGs are scoring beyond what's expected of them, and pretty much means that they are ready for the next year. They are, scoring above expectations, which is really, really nice. So um, if we look below that, we see a box containing a few descriptions and more scales. The first thing here is what you see is your child's Lexile score. And what this tells us is what level your child is reading at. The score isn't necessarily a grade level score, but rather tells us what kind of books your child will be able to read and understand what books they may have trouble with. This number starts at 0 and goes all the way up to 2000. So we can see that your child has a score of 965L. Using that number, you can go to the website indicated here and see how that translates. Unfortunately, it's not something that I know too much about. Essentially, it means that your child is scoring above the grade 3 Lexile text measures, as you can see, is indicated between 500 and 700L. And so your child has a 965L, which means that they're reading above grade level. That's very nice. Below the Lexile score is a breakdown of how your child performed in each section of the EOG in reading and math. So you'll notice that the score here is not broken down into 1 through 4, but rather 0 through 20. Our state average is a sub-score of 10. So you can see that your child is scoring above average in both reading and math. Each portion, you can see the reading is broken into literary reading and informational reading. And then the math portion is broken up into calculator active, calculator inactive, how they use and don't use a calculator to solve math problems. Model identify and compute with whole numbers through 9,999, and the rest you can read. I don't need to read those out to you. So again, this is indicated by a black diamond and a bar behind it. Again, it shows where if your child were to take this test again, kind of where they might fall in each one of those different portions and those kinds of questions. So that's pretty much how you interpret the information given on this sample sheet. What you can always do to help your child succeed on the EOG is to promote reading and math at home, read with your child, supply a wide variety of reading materials, talk about the books and see how they're retaining the information, ask open-ended questions that can't really be answered with just a single word response. Get them to really think about what it is that they read. And with math, it's pretty much the same. Give them a wide variety of math problems that they can work on. Try a variety using graphs and scales and measurements. Try using temperature if you can. Gas mileage and speed with cars. Just whatever you can think of outside of regular homework that they can do will help your child improve their scores on the EOG. So there are plenty of things you can do to prepare your child at home, but that pretty much shows us how to read the information given on this, and I hope you found it very helpful.